The culture of Montenegro is as pluralistic and diverse as its history and geographical position would suggest. Montenegro's culture has drawn influences mainly from ancient Rome, Christianity, Islam, Byzantine Empire, Serbian Empire, Ottoman Empire, Republic of Venice, Austria-Hungary, and Yugoslavia. The values and norms, ethical beliefs. A very important dimension of Montenegrin culture is the ethical ideal of suggest.Montenegro, roughly translated as humanity and bravery, another result of its centuries-long warrior history. It is the unwritten code of chivalry that stipulates that to deserve a true respect of its people, a person has to show virtues of integrity, dignity, humility, self-sacrifice for the just cause, respect for others, and rectitude along with the bravery. In the old days of battle, it resulted in Montenegrins fighting to the death, as being captured was considered the greatest shame. This code of conduct is still very much ingrained, to greater or lesser extent, in every Montenegrin's ethical belief system, and it is essential that it be kept in mind in order to truly understand them. Most of extraordinary examples of Montenegrin conduct during its long history can be traced to the code. Montenegrin funeral, an absolute institution in the Montenegrin culture. You are allowed to miss someone's wedding, but not coming to the funeral will be remembered. Funerals are often turned into social events. Laws. A Montenegrin tradition made into law in Montenegro by King Nicola during his reign, consisting of newlyweds planting an olive tree on the wedding day as a symbol of marriage. An ancient Montenegrin code of honor, called simply zakletva, an oath of revenge for vendetta, similar to the Albanian besa. The Montenegrin law of vendetta, kvneos veta, where one Montenegrin must take revenge on whoever killed his relative by killing the murderer or one of the murderer's close relatives. Traditions. Folk dances. Oro. The traditional dance of Montenegrins is called the oro, Dinaric Serbian vernacular for oreo or eagle. It also known as the Kromitski oro, due to its believed origin in the Kromika region. It is as much a communal gathering and a game as it is a dance in the strictest sense. Typically, young men and women would gather and form a circle, then start to sing, usually in form of playfully mocking someone from the other side and daring them to enter the circle to dance. One of the more daring young men would then enter the circle and start to dance in a stylistic imitation of an eagle. The aim here is to impress. The gallery crowd will immediately respond with a feedback song, either praising or ridiculing him. Soon, a girl would join, quite often his girlfriend or possibly someone attracted by his display. She would also imitate an eagle, but in a more elegant way. The gallery also keeps up. When the couple gets tired, they kiss each other on the cheek and another couple jumps in to keep the collo going, while the singing of the surrounding crowd never stops. Usually the young lads finish oro by forming a two-story circle, standing on one another's shoulders, inside the greater circle. And this is the scene that is the most recognizable and most often photographed part of the dance. Musical instruments are never part of the true oro. Epic songs. Montenegrins' long-standing history of struggle for freedom and independence is invariably linked with strong traditions of oral epic poetry. Traditionally, they are delivered to the audience accompanied by the music produced by gull, one-string instrument played by the storyteller, who sings or recites the stories of heroes and battles in decasyllabic verse. Historically, these songs have had an immense motivational power over the population. The guzzlers commanded almost as much respect as the best of warriors, as they were as much the authors, thus history writers, as they were interpreters, in the best traditions of the modern public domain and open source movement. These songs had been composed and passed on by the unknown guzzlers since High Middle Ages onwards. Other guzzlers adopted the songs and could amend them as they saw fit, which usually resulted in a number of slightly different versions of the same story, of varying quality. The quality control were the listeners themselves, who loudly objected during the performance if some parts of the story were inaccurate or embellished out of proportion. The guzzlers had more poetical freedom when they interpreted the events further back in the past, as there could have been no witnesses present. Thus, the historical accuracy of the song declined with the widening of the time gap. Most of the songs have been collected, assessed, and recorded on paper by Vuk Karadžić in the 19th century, along with Serbian epic poetry, some being of exceptional literary quality. The most famous recorded Serbian guzzler interpreter was indisputably Petar Perunović Peran, from Pjesevci tribe. He was known as a great Montenegrin Serb, who traveled with heroic Serbian army during Great War, 1914 to 1918. He reached his peak during the first few decades of the 20th century, when he made numerous recordings and tours in America and all across Europe. The most popular Montenegrin epic song heroes are Bajo Puljanin, Nikako Drovina, and Pop Milo Jovovich. Contemporary alternative rock author Rambo Amadeus proved with his SMRT Popa Mila Jovovica that these songs can be very successfully adapted to the modern art format without losing any of its original appeal. Presently, these traditions are somewhat livelier in the northern parts of the country. Montenegrin names. There are many Montenegrin names unique to the Montenegrin people which display the distinct culture of the Montenegrins. For an extensive list see Montenegrin given names. Cuisine. The traditional dishes of Montenegro's heartland and its Adriatic coast have a distinctively Italian flavor which shows in the bread-making style, the way meat is cured and dried, cheese-making, wine and spirits, the soup and stew-making style, polenta, stuffed capsicums, meatballs, priganice, capracci, raston, etc. The second large influence came from the Levant and Turkey: sarma, moussaka, pilav, pita, burek, sevapi, kebab, Turkish sweets like baklava and tulumba, etc. Hungarian dishes include goulash, saturash, and jovic, which are also very common. Last but not least, Croatian cuisine made its mark mostly in the desserts department. Additionally, crepes, donuts, jam, myriad types of biscuits and cakes all make a contribution to the average Montenegrin's waistline. Vienna-style bread is the most prevalent type of bread in the shops. Montenegrin cuisine also varies geographically. The cuisine in the coastal area differs from the one in the northern highland region. The coastal area is traditionally a representative of Mediterranean cuisine, with seafood being a common dish. Architecture. Montenegro has a number of significant cultural and historical sites, including heritage sites from the pre-Romanesque, Gothic and Baroque periods. The Montenegrin coastal region is especially well known for its religious monuments mostly related to Venetian architecture, including the Cathedral of St. Tryphon, the Basilica of St. Luke, Our Lady of the Rock, the Savina Monastery, and others. The ancient city of Catra is listed on the UNESCO World Heritage List, even as a perfect example of the Venetian architecture. The Byzantine influence in architecture and in religious artwork is especially apparent in the country's interior. Painting and sculpture. Painting. The painters from Montenegro gave a great contribution to the affirmation of the Montenegrin culture in the world. Leaving to the other parts of the world, they took the Montenegrin soul and heritage with them, and passed it down to others through their artworks. The last 15 years saw the opening of the Faculty of the Fine Arts in Cetinje, bringing up a whole new wave of talent. Some of the most prominent artists are listed below: Milo Milanovic, Peter Lubada, Dado Thuric, Vojo Stanic, Dmitry Popovich, Boris Dragajevich. Sculpture: Risto Stijovic. Music. The music of Montenegro has been relatively underlooked, especially in comparison with its literature and visual arts. Nevertheless, the 20th century produced several outstanding composers and interpreters. Specialized musical high schools in Kota and Titrograd were the pillars of the classical music education, the latter being upgraded to the rank of academy in the last decade of the 20th century. Particular attention is given to choir and chamber music. In addition, a professional orchestra is maintained by a national TV in Podgorica. Performing arts. Theatre. The Montenegrin National Theatre in Podgorica is the only professional theatre, and along with the Faculty of Drama, located in Cetinje, is responsible for the majority of theatre productions in the country. During the summer months, City Theatre in Budva takes precedence as a stage for performers coming from all corners of former Yugoslavia and the world. Many scholars believe that the biggest contribution to Montenegrin music in theatre was the one from the Italian composer who spent the most part of his life in these areas, including Dionisio da Sano San Giorgio, with his Balkan Empress, inspired by the work of King Nicola, got all the praises of Italian critique in the second half of the 19th century. Film. Considering its population of about 600,000 people, Montenegro has produced a number of outstanding film directors and actors, including Dusan Vukotic, the first Yugoslav Oscar winner, Veljko Bulijic, and Zivka Nikolic. Montenegro as a theme in foreign works. Films with Montenegrin themes. The 2006 James Bond film Casino Royale is partially set in Montenegro. Institutions. Montenegrin Academy of Sciences and Arts. University of Montenegro.